Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. And this video actually I wanted to make it since a long time, and I thought Sunday would be a right day for us to make this video so that I can interact with you, so that we can have a one-on-one interaction with each other, and it'll be good to communicate with the subscribers and the family, isn't it? As a family we can communicate with each other, and I'll answer a few questions that you have asked on the channel, and I wanted to make it a separate video because I wanted to explain that elaborately, and so that there is no confusions once you get to know about what actually I have in mind. Because writing those whole things in the comment section, it actually doesn't make sense, because I am not able to convey the exact information that I want to deliver or I want to give you. So it's better to have a conversation online or through a video. So that's why I wanted to make it. So let's begin. Okay, so the first question that we have here is, this is one of the most frequently asked questions. Do certifications guarantee you a job, or do AWS certifications actually guarantee you a job? If I have to give you a one-word answer, probably I would say no, but there is a lot more things that are going to be involved in this. So I wanted to elaborate this as to why I am saying no to the specific question that has been asked. Like, do certifications guarantee you a job? The answer is specifically no. But having said that, there are a lot of things that goes around when you are willing to take a job, isn't it? So when you are taking a AWS certification, you obviously have in mind that it will have a better or improved career growth, or you will have a better career growth, or you will get more opportunities. And that is one thing that is really important to consider here. Okay, so getting a certification and getting a job are two different things. Okay, so you are enabling yourself by learning a new technology, or if you have already learned AWS, then you are just validating yourself. Okay, you're validating yourself against the particular craft that you have or the knowledge that you have, and you're trying to get a score. Okay, so here what happens is, when you go for an interview and you have a AWS certification, so the primary requirement here is getting shortlisted. Okay, so you applied for a job. Okay, and there are a lot of candidates already there, and if they have to shortlist someone, then they would probably shortlist the ones who are already having a certification or AWS certification, because that might give them a little bit of trust that yes, this person has qualified for this certification. Let's suppose, for an example, solutions architect, okay, associate. So there are 10 candidates and 5 candidates have already done this certification, so they might actually take them into consideration, and you 5, or the 5 resumes that have already cleared the certification, might get a chance to appear in the interview. Okay, so that is one thing, getting noticed. Okay, so getting noticed is one of the important things that you might get when you have a certification, so that is a plus point. Okay, but I'm not saying who don't have AWS certification they don't get noticed. Okay, but it actually depends on what I'm trying to tell here based on the question that has been asked. Okay, so here as well, what happens is, when you go to the interview and your resume has been shortlisted based on the certification that you have to perform. Okay, and if you don't perform well and you don't answer the questions properly, or if it is an interview, then you will be asked particular scenarios to describe, or if suppose you have worked on a particular project, they would want to know about the project and what are your roles and responsibilities were, and how were you achieve something that was difficult with the monolith architecture, and you were able to achieve that by AWS. Okay, so you have to explain on the various design solutions that you provided, or the various concepts that you have used. Okay, so in that way you have to explain them, and once you have explained them and they're satisfied with the answers that you gave, then only you have a chance to qualify for the further rounds. Unless and until you have cleared that, there is no chance for you to move forward, isn't it? And prior to that, there is a stage that comes where you have to prepare for the interview. Okay, getting a certification is well and good, but you have to prepare for the interview with all the technologies that you already know, or you expect them to ask. The guarantee portion only comes when you already know someone from the organization or the team member that is currently hiring, and they know you specifically that you are good at something, and that you're good at AWS and you have a certification as well, then your chances increase. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about is, what does the certification give you then? Okay, So the certification will actually help you validate yourself based on the technology that you have learned or the various services that you have learned from AWS, because it is the AWS certification. And it's about a certification that you're going to get based on knowledge of the AWS services in perspective. Okay, so you have to understand that you are going to give a certification exam for the services that are provided by AWS. And if suppose companies are hiring AWS developers or solutions architect, then you have a chance of appearing for interviews and getting selected. Okay, but prior to that, you need to have a strong knowledge on the services that you're currently working on, the project that you're currently working on, and how you have utilized AWS services. And based on that, there'll be a lot of questions that they might ask. Okay, because what happens is, I have seen in real time as well that people who have AWS certifications generally don't answer that well in the interviews, because there is a lack of confidence or the ability to answer particular questions that are involved in their own project. Okay, so some people get confused around what the solutions they had used based on AWS, and then they actually don't do well in the interviews as well. So it doesn't guarantee you the job in that scenario as well. Okay, so the whole point that I wanted to make here is, certification is a good thing to have, but having the knowledge on the particular context that you currently speak or you're going to give the interview is really important. Okay, and that doesn't come, what do you say, easily. You have to read about stuff, you have to read about the services, you have to implement them, and in the real-time experience that you get exposure to services that AWS provides. Okay, and that is what I wanted to say. So, do certifications guarantee you a job? Yes and no. Okay, yes, because they give you an exposure to getting selected or getting shortlisted among candidates, but you need to perform as well. Okay, so I hope I cleared your answer in this one. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next question that we have here is, what should my path be if I want to switch to AWS or DevOps from what the current domain that I'm currently working with? So if you're currently working in, let's suppose IT, or let's suppose you're working in software development, you're working on Java or Python, or let's suppose you're working on software development in general or product development in general. Okay, so here the main consideration comes into, like, keep yourself in the shoes of the interviewer. Okay, you have heard this question before, like, why should I hire you? Okay, isn't it? Everyone has heard this, and obviously you must remember this in mind before you are trying to switch your domains. Okay, why should anyone hire you? So if you have a clear answer to this, why should anyone hire you, you are one step closer to getting switched, or to switching the domain that you're currently working with. So let's suppose I am a Java developer and I'm working on programming languages since a very long time, and I want to switch to AWS or DevOps. So the first main consideration that I would give is trying to implement projects that are on these particular technologies. Okay, if I want to switch to DevOps, I would obviously want to have a strong knowledge on CI/CD, how Jenkins works, how we can automate things with Chef, Puppet, or Ansible. So these are the things that are basically more involved when you're working with DevOps. So I would learn those things first and try to implement some projects. Or if I'm currently working on the any current project, then I would suggest that in my organization to basically implement those things so that I can get a real-time experience on that and I can add them in the project, in the resume. Okay, so let's suppose I want to switch to AWS, then the same thing applies to here as well. Like, you have to learn the craft that you are currently willing to switch to. Let's suppose that is AWS, then you should have like some knowledge on real-time knowledge on working with AWS and the AWS services. And you can mention the same thing in your resume in the projects that you're currently working on. And when we come back to the question of why should anyone hire you, you must understand that there are a lot of AWS developers or engineers, isn't it? And everyone is willing to switch jobs. Then the most important thing would be to stand out from the crowd. So what are the things that you can do to stand out from the crowd? Have a good resume where you have mentioned projects for AWS or DevOps that you're currently willing to switch, and you have strong knowledge on the concepts that AWS provides or DevOps provides, like Chef or CI/CD, basically like Jenkins or Ansible. So based on that itself, you can make yourself stand out in the crowd. Okay, and getting a certification in either of AWS or Ansible, you can actually add weight to the resume that you have. And when you go to the interview, even if you have lack of experience working with a real-time project, you can impress them by the knowledge that you have. Okay, so if suppose there is an interview that is going on for AWS that is currently requiring for like 1 or 2 years of experience, and if you start applying for that, and if you show the confidence to them that yes, you know the concepts and you know the technology very well, by showing them the skills that you have, then obviously you will be getting selected. Okay, and you can switch the domains. And the most important thing I would suggest is to make sure that you have a real-time project, or at least a project that you have yourself developed using AWS or DevOps. Let's suppose you are trying to automate, you have your own repository and you have a small project and you have created a CI/CD workflow and you can explain it to them. They will be really impressed. Okay, I would be really impressed if I'm hiring. Okay, so that is the way that I wanted to suggest you to. If you want to switch domains, then you can do it, no problem. But and there is a strong feeling actually behind switching domains. Like if you're not happy with currently what you're doing, or if you want to improve on what you're currently doing, or if you want to totally switch from the current job that you're doing or the domain that you're currently working on, then you must understand that you are going to leave behind all the years of experience that you have, and they will be stagnant. But most importantly, that it is like you should be happy with what you're doing right now. Okay, and if you're not, then obviously you would want to switch. So I hope that you have all the credentials needed, and you have a very good resume to back up that hypothesis that you have, that you can work on or you can switch the domain. Okay, so that is the only thing that I would want you to take care of before switching domains, that you have thorough knowledge on the subject that you're currently planning to switch. And I hope that what I feel is like people who want to switch domains already have some experience working on that, and they basically are willing to switch it after a few years, like 1 or 2 years of working in that particular technology. Let's suppose I was primarily working with Java, and recently I have moved to Docker and Kubernetes, and I want to switch to Docker and Kubernetes totally. Then I would get a certification for Kubernetes Developer Associate or Docker Developer, and then I would only try for jobs that are involving the technological usage of Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, and I would want to go towards that itself. So in that way, it makes sense. Okay, so I hope I gave you enough information on how you can switch your domains if you're currently working on something else and you want to switch to AWS or DevOps. Okay, so third question that we have here is, without certification, how can we get a job if we want to start a career in AWS? This has been asked by Rakesh. So Rakesh, what I would suggest is, without certification, let us go back and keep ourselves in the shoes of an interviewer. Okay, so if you are applying for a job and you don't have any certifications, then you would already have something in your resume that supports your hypothesis that you are willing to switch to AWS, or you want to start working on AWS, right? So why should anyone hire you is the biggest question here as well. Like, you are applying for the job of AWS engineer, or if you want to work for AWS or AWS services, then you obviously would have a resume and the matching credentials that are needed to actually work on AWS. So you would apply for a job and you would upload your resume on Naukri. Based on that, you will get shortlisted and you will get calls if suppose you have those keywords in your resume that you have worked on AWS before. Okay, and if you haven't worked on AWS before, I'm not sure that if you will get a call or not. But so without certification also, it doesn't matter. You can upload your resume, adding your credentials on the projects that you worked on AWS. Generally, they don't ask for certifications. I have not seen people asking for certification for most of the companies that I have seen. Okay, basically you can apply for jobs that actually are having a requirement for AWS without having a AWS certification. That doesn't matter. So the most important thing here would be to back up your credentials in the resume by having something that you have already worked on the project, like in AWS or AWS services or AWS automation or AWS SDKs by using Python or Java. Okay, based on that only you will be getting selected. So if you want to start a career in AWS, then you need to have some or the other project experience. Maybe it can be your personal project, or it can be a real-time project, or you can go for an internship to basically get some hands-on experience on AWS. But I would suggest, like, if you don't want to get a certificate, it doesn't matter basically, because if you have a good hands-on experience, or if you have some real-time experience, or if you have worked on AWS and you can show them that there is a project that you are currently working on, then there are chances for you to get selected for an interview. The most important thing that I would say is getting selected in an interview and cracking it and getting the job, no matter which company it is, as long as it can give you an experience. Okay, this is the most important thing that you need to remember. If you're aiming high, and if you just want to start off a career with some of the big companies, then it might take time for you. I'm not saying it will not happen, it might take time for you, but you might have to go through several paths to actually reach to the point that you can work on a particular technology that you personally want. Okay, and that might take some time. But if you want to just gain experience and start working with AWS, there are so many companies that would hire freshers based on their interest, and if you have something that you can offer to the organization, they will surely hire you. And once you get selected and you're working in the organization, maybe it may be a small organization, don't worry about that. Just focus on the work and get experience. Based on that experience that you have, like 1 or 2 years of experience, you can make big in the industry that you're currently aiming for. Okay, so this is basically generic to anything that people want to achieve. Okay, so let's suppose someone is working on a programming language and they don't have any experience. Okay, so what happens? They join a particular company, like for 1 or 2 years, they gain the experience and they switch back to something that they really want. But hard work actually plays a very important role, because you have to prove yourself at every step. Okay, so I hope I gave you the answer that you're looking for. How can we even get a job if we want to start a career in AWS? Okay, so remember one thing: have a solid resume where you have your own projects, or a project that you are doing from an internship, or from college, or from institute, or personally sitting at home if you are learning AWS, going through the YouTube tutorials that I have, or personally that you like. You can please watch them and learn the services and create a project of your own and show something in your resume. Okay, because companies will be so happy to actually hire someone who has interest in a particular technology that they want to work in. Okay, and if you just say that yes, I want to work on AWS, but there is nothing supporting in your resume to actually show that or showcase that you actually are interested in AWS, that won't make any sense, isn't it? You should keep yourself in the shoes of the interviewer, okay, or the organization that you're currently giving the interview for. Why would someone hire you if you don't have any experience with AWS? Experience, actually, people get confused. I'm not saying about experience with working in a company. I'm just saying, like, working individually also, personally also, some kind of experience. If you don't have that, then it will be very hard actually for you to convince someone that you are willing to work on AWS. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is from Bib Roy. How far do you recommend self-study in this matter, provided we gather study materials of the syllabus over joining online institutions? Okay, follow-up question was that one of the perks that we would miss out by not joining an online institute is the opportunity to attend placements and hands-on experience on live projects provided by other institutes, or provided by those institutes. How do you think this drawback can be overcome by a fresher? If I want to answer this question, I want to elaborate on this one, and I want to share a personal experience with you. So please watch this till the end. And this is a very interesting story. Not interesting, but interesting to me. Maybe it is boring to you, but please listen to this. Okay, so I am a very big advocate of free learning. I don't like paying money to learn something. Okay, and this actually hasn't been there for me since now, but it has been with me since a very long time. Okay, and I have joined institutes and I have been there for just one day and I've quit, and I've never been to the organizations or the institutes again to learn anything. I was there in Amirpet in Hyderabad. Okay, I know, I am not sure like how many of you are aware of Hyderabad's biggest cluster of students who actually visit Amirpet, and they are willing to get a job, and they're struggling out there, and they actually grind themselves by going to the institutes and learning a specific language or database. And I was one among them. And I was in Amirpet at 2008 2009, where there was a huge recession, and there were very less opportunities that were coming around for us to basically give interviews. And that time also, the basic routine that I used to follow the whole day, actually, when I was staying in hostel, was I used to get up at around 8 o'clock, 8:30. Before that, actually, the hostel food, the hostel breakfast would end, and we were not allowed after 9:30 or 9 o'clock. So before that, I used to get up and I used to have breakfast, and we used to go out, have tea, and we used to come back. We used to have lunch, and then we used to sleep for some time. And at 4 o'clock, we all used to go out, me and my friends, my hostel mates, and then we used to have tea there, sitting, and you know what we used to have. So and we used to sit there, and there were a lot of students. There were like thousands and thousands of students who would walk past you to a institute to learn a language, just to add them to the resume and basically get a job. It was very hard that time for us to understand like what we want to actually achieve, and I was one student among them. And I did not have the strength to get up and go to an institute to learn a particular language with 400 students in one classroom, and sitting there having my mind totally blank. And I used to just think about, what am I doing here? And I was never like that. And I decided I'll go back to the usual routine that I was following, and I started coding, I started game development, I started learning the languages that I want on my own. I used to sit in the flat that we already had, with me and my friends. And my friends used to go for work or office, and I used to sit there and I used to work, or I used to code there, learning all the things on YouTube. And that is how I learned things. And that is why I am a very big advocate of free learning. I know this sounds very stereotypical cliche, but it is the fact, because I was not interested in learning a language just to add them to the resume, or just to get a job based on what others are doing. So I wanted to learn something on my own. I did not join any institutions. And I know there was a major drawback of not joining the institutions, because when I got my first job, it was a startup, and most of the colleagues that I had been from institute, and they were placed in the organization that I actually got job in. So all the teammates that I was currently working with were all placed because of the institute they were currently studying. So I won't say that it does not happen. Okay, as a fresher, how would you want to get a job? Tell me one thing. What actually they look for in a fresher? They look for aptitude. Okay, they look for some programming knowledge, and they look for logical skills. Okay, so as a fresher, what is your main priority? What is your main prerogative? To be good at something that the companies want. So what they want? Being logically good, being good at algorithms, being good at data structures. Okay, so that is what you're going to learn, right, in going to some institute. And the major advantage that the institutes provide is basically they will have tie-ups with some of the organizations or consultancies, and you have to appear interview for those companies as well. So there also, the companies actually will hire you based on the talent that you have and what the skill that you have. Okay, so the gap that you want to fill is the time period where you actually get a job. So I passed out my engineering in 2009, and I came to Hyderabad, and I started doing freelancing for that. Okay, I learned something on my own. I learned a language on my own. I did not learn language on my own, but basically like I kept on moving forward with what I already knew, like Java. I did not learn Python until that point of time. Okay, so I used to do Java. I used to work with HTML. I used to work with CSS. I used to love that, and I was freelancing as a website designer. Okay, so I used to do web development, and I used to really like it. and I worked there, like I actually worked for as a freelancer for around 8 or 9 months, and then I joined a startup. There I started working with Python. Okay, and all this time I was willing to give interviews, but I was not that interested, because I don't know why I was not interested, but I was enjoying freelancing, and I just wanted to continue that, but that was not sustainable, because I used to get some projects, I used to have some problems or issues, or I was not able to complete them, or some of them I used to get paid less, or some of them I used to get paid more, but that depended on what the month is or what the contract is, and that was not that sustainable, and that was really frustrating for me for some time. So I thought I'll do a job. And a person who has already cleared his BTech in 2009, searching for a job in 2010 was really hard. But the most important thing is to understand that what companies really want. So what actually companies want is logical ability. So even if you are 1 year, you don't have a job, then also you can apply for jobs and you can get it. But you have to be good at something like data structures or algorithms or a particular programming language that you want. Or if you want to work on a particular technology like AWS, then you have to do something on your own to project that as a part of the interview process or the resume that you are particularly forwarding to the interviewer, in that sense. So if you are not joining an institute, that's not a big problem. Okay, you are saving the money that you would pay to the organization or the institute that you have. They charge a lot. I have seen like 20 to 25,000 actually they charge, but they give placement. So it depends on you. If you have the money, then why not join an institute? Go to the institute every day and get there for 4 hours, 5 hours, learn something, come back. If you have the interest on the particular technology that you're currently learning, then I don't think that anyone can stop you from learning, even if you don't go to the institutes. If you just want consultancy or consulting for the job that you want, you can pay the consultancy, right? There are consultancies that obviously take money and forward your resumes or help you get a job. It doesn't matter. There can be two things here, like either you pay for an organization or institute to learn something and get a job, they will do the two things for you, or you can just learn things for yourself and pay a consultancy for getting a job. So that's the thing. But personally, I am a huge advocate of learning things for free. So that's my main aim also. So why would I actually start a AWS Solutions Architect course where I can easily put that in Udemy for 12,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 or any amount that I want? But why would I put these videos online on YouTube for free for everyone? Because I know what I had faced previously, and I don't want that for anyone else. I want everyone to learn things for free. Okay, because knowledge is something that is free if you want it to be free. Education is free until and unless you put a barrier there and you want to put a price tag there. Okay, currently my videos are not even monetized. My channel is not even monetized. I have 900 subscribers. And to make any money out of it, it might take me around 1 or 2 years. So I understand the difference between, like, I cannot provide you placement. I understand that I cannot provide you placement. I am not able to actually give you the practice papers that others can give you if you pay money for them. Okay, but if you want to learn something and if you want to ask me questions, have I ever delayed in answering any questions? I haven't. Okay, that you can expect with the same with the person who is actually taking money from you and answering that. Okay, they would be prompt. I am not sure they would be prompt also, but if in case they're paying, they're getting the money, then they should be prompt of answering you questions or answering you the queries that you have or the doubts that you have. They should clear that. But for me, it's personally about sharing my knowledge or sharing my experience with people who actually want to learn. Or if someone has a doubt, I actually reply them very quickly, and I try to give them the best that I have with my experience and my knowledge. And I'll try to do so, and I'll continue the same in the future as well. And that's how I am planning to do this, because eventually if I get some money from this or from YouTube, it will be from the Google AdSense. I'm not taking any money from anyone, and I am at peace. When I sleep at night and I have resolved any query from any one of you who have asked me any doubts, I feel really happy, and I go to bed with a peace of mind that yes, I was able to help someone, and by not taking any amount of money from that. And if I'm able to do that, then my whole idea of doing this or starting this YouTube channel will be accomplished. Okay, and I would like to talk about more about this because as a fresher, the major advantage that you would have is you can be molded to anything. And if you have some additional knowledge that you can bring into the interview or the company that you're currently applying for, then it's an added advantage. So the best thing that I would suggest for freshers is to have a strong knowledge on data structures and algorithms. Have one simple language that you can write code with, okay, which is the easiest language that you can find. And you can have your own small projects that are available online. You can do them and add them in your resume and present them. But when I have taken interviews for freshers, I would have already always actually looked at their logical skills and how they're able to solve it. I don't check language, and I don't think that's a barrier because anyone can learn any language at any given point of time. But having the logical skill and ability to solve problems is something that I would look for. And if you have that, it doesn't matter that you are in an organization or institute or you're self-learning, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, the only difference that would make is the time between you start applying for a job and you get a job. But institute actually bring jobs to you. The only difference that would make is basically you going after the job. Okay, and hands-on experience. There was one more point about hands-on experience, right? If you are interested in a particular language or a particular technology, you would find ways to do a hands-on demo. AWS, let's suppose we take an example of AWS. AWS provides a 12-month free tier. If you are interested, you can go there and learn it, right? Isn't it? What's the harm? It will not cost you anything. It's for free. AWS provides it for free because they also have faith in free learning. Okay, but eventually they charge for the service. Obviously they will charge. They are not sitting there for free. As a big organization, they have to charge, but they also want you to learn for free. But if you are joining an organization, you will get the same amount of details. There will be someone to guide you if you are stuck, isn't it? That's the only thing. But how will you learn if you don't get stuck at a point of time? Because mistakes are something that help you learn things, right? Isn't it? So if you are willing to do that, then you obviously will be able to solve the problems that you have at hand. So I think it was detailed enough explanation on all the questions that have been asked. So if anyone wants to switch to AWS and they don't have any prior experience, then I would suggest learning the concepts, doing the certifications. That's the added advantage that you have, because certifications can give you a boost in the resume that you are currently holding. And basically learning the things in a proper way, having a clear idea of how the AWS services work by doing hands-on demo or basically working on an individual project that you want, that would really help. Okay, so I hope I was clear in answering all your questions. So if you still have any doubts, you can put them in the comment section below so that I can answer them. So this was it from my side for today, and if you really liked this session, then please let me know that you did like it, and if you want to ask any queries that you have so that we can do this again next Sunday. Okay, so if you did like it, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And if you have further any queries that you want to ask me, then please put them in the comment section below. And if you were satisfied with my answers, or if you still have any doubts or queries, you are always welcome, and you can just put them in the comment section below so I can answer them. Okay, so until then, it's Pythoholic signing off.